Hey guys, I'm sick right now, so please bear with me here with the fact that I sound a little stuffy. And I started writing a video earlier this year called I Hate My Phone and It Hates Me Too. It's a strongly worded title, I agree, but I mean, that is how I felt. And to be fair, I had just watched that Eddie Murray video where he locks his phone in a box for a month, so it kind of got some gears turning in my brain. I mean, for a while I'd been sick of social media and algorithms and my 8+ hour screen time, which actually used to be a lot worse. And I had started jokingly referring to this expensive piece of glass and metal as my evil phone. I became intrigued by digital minimalism, and I longed for these fancy flip phones with keypads and touchscreens you can only buy in like Japan and South Korea. I wanted to break out of the prison that was short form content. And I mean, it was a reasonable response to my years of using scrolling as like a catch-all coping mechanism for my various mental issues. I was really done with being dependent on my phone. My screen time average is about 2 hours a day now, which is 6 hours as my average in January, so needless to say, something worked between now and then. Before I deleted Instagram, I came across an ad for a different social media site called Perfectly Imperfect, or PI for short. It seemed interesting, so I signed up, and I was met with a site that was definitely not my average social media. PI actually started out as a newsletter where they kind of just like gathered recommendations of things from friends, and eventually it became like public figures and celebrities and things like that. But it is also a social platform, which means anyone can post on it. And so basically the main function of the site is that it revolves around sharing recommendations. So it's generally built on like positivity because you're sharing something that you like most of the time. And also just like connecting with others because you're sharing your ideas that people are going to respond and be like, oh, that sounds cool, or I've heard of that before. There's a nice little community on there. People share all sorts of things from music to life advice to memes, and there's no algorithm. The main feeds just show posts in chronological order, which is incredibly refreshing given how algorithm-y everything is now. I made myself a coffee. And it was also on PI that I saw a post directly challenging the extremes of digital minimalism, specifically what they were calling screen shame. And basically what they were saying in this post is that it is important to consider the way that technology has consumed our lives and how maybe in some ways we're using it in a way that is kind of harmful to us, but we don't need to completely disconnect either. Which does also remind me of a Substack post from the internet's favorite linguist, Adam Alexic. Basically, he argues that it's sort of a privilege to disengage, and it's also just a bit unrealistic given how internet-centric our lives are nowadays. And I think there's some truth to both sides. Like, this is a very nuanced discussion because every person is different the way they use the internet. I mean, my patterns of social media usage have been unhealthy. I've definitely spent a lot of time on there where I kind of feel like I'm just wasting my time, but I'm just kind of stuck. So it has been beneficial for me to log off. And also, the way that CEOs designed their platforms are meant to exploit our attention for profit. But also, the internet isn't all bad. It really just depends on how you're using it. For every post of AI slop, there are far more posts of interesting and meaningful stuff being put out online. Social media sites may be designed to keep us connected to the feed rather than each other, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong to want to connect with people. If you couldn't tell already, I'm Gen Z. I was born in the early 2000s. So as a young and impressionable child, I was introduced to YouTube. Initially, my only exposure to it was classmates telling me about the annoying orange in the playground, or my friend using her family computer to show me the masterpiece that is Nyan Cat. Because, like, my parents weren't concerned with the vast, unmonitored nature of the internet, which is very fair of them, and I'm glad they cared about my internet habits. So I wasn't actually allowed to go on YouTube for a while. One day, in a moment of curiosity, I clicked on that TV icon on my iPod Touch, and the rest is history. I have actually been posting on YouTube since I was in middle school, believe it or not. I've been uploading to this platform at least once or twice a year, usually way more, since 2016, which is like almost a decade ago. I first started out on this little niche called AGTube, or American Girl on YouTube for the uninitiated. It was, you can assume, a little corner of the internet dedicated to American Girl dolls, and there was a huge variety of videos being uploaded. Many videos were creative, like scripted stop-motion animations or music videos. Others were focused on like DIYs, hairstyles, and dollhouse tours, but when I think of AGTube, I think of the creativity that sort of defined the community. This is where I was first introduced to stop-motion animation in a way that was much more accessible than, like, you know, movies. These were people around my age, or maybe a little bit older, who were making videos just like with an old camera or the family laptop or something. When I saw these videos, I was inspired to make my own, and so I did. This whole thing strikes me as a distinctly internet phenomenon. It all started out because like one person made a stop-motion animation with their dolls for a class project that she uploaded it online, and then that snowballed into a whole community of people sharing their own videos for like over a decade. And this has impacted people's real lives too. It's not just an online thing. Like, many of us have made long-lasting friendships through AGTube, myself included, or discovered a passion for video editing that has changed their career, or their college degree, and things like that. And I even know someone who went on to work for American Girl. Of course, if you know me, you know that AGTube was and still is a huge interest of mine. I dedicated countless hours of my time making my own videos, but I was also just really interested in like archiving the history of the community, as well as like trying to keep it alive as YouTube, you know, sort of changed a lot over the last decade. And outside of just finding community online, AGTube is impacted by life in so many ways. Like, I learned how to make stop motion animations, which is something I ended up really loving, and then I got into photography, and I discovered my love of storytelling through videos. I wrote my undergraduate thesis on AGTube, which I actually won 2 different awards for. I got to explore new disciplines and grow as a researcher along with doing something that I love. And of course, none of this would have happened without YouTube. It's very strange, but kind of magical to think of how internet communities can impact our lives so deeply. So I've kind of been thinking, maybe my evil phone doesn't have to be evil. As much as I talk about hating social media, it has helped me find new friends and people who share common interests, as well as just keeping in touch with my close friends who might have moved away or we just don't see each other very much. But it wasn't an algorithm that ever connected me with other people. I made friends online through shared interests, so like whether that was making my own videos and then finding people who liked the videos that I made and then becoming friends, or like just going through a tag and then finding someone whose blog was interesting or something like that. And of course, in turn, I've gotten tons of new recommendations of music, books, and movies from them that I ended up loving. I found like all of my favorite musicians through recommendations from friends, mutual followers, and even just like strangers on YouTube. And these are artists and albums that I've really connected with. You don't need an algorithm to find these things. The media that you find on your own or through friends might stay with you for longer or inspire you to make something yourself. So at the end of the day, social platforms can be a means of connecting with others or finding new media that interests you. It doesn't have to be an endless scroll if you don't want it to be. Like, you're in control of your social media usage and your internet usage in general. And this is me telling myself that as well. I'm no preaching to the choir here. But anyway, you can decide how you want to be online. Maybe that comes in the form of screen time limits, or deleting the apps that just make you feel angry, cough cough, Twitter. Maybe you'll take it a step further and delete most or all of your social media, or try to find time for offline hobbies. Or maybe you'll go all out and get yourself a dumb phone. It really just depends on what you want out of your phone or social media in general. There's no one solution for the screen problem because we all have different problems and different things that we struggle with. Personally, I know that I'm not reading nearly as much as I want to be. I just like think about it. I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if I was reading right now, and then I just like do something else instead. And of course, I'm very good at putting off my projects, so it was really easy for me to fall into the endless scroll of TikTok. And then once I deleted TikTok, I went to Instagram Reels, and you can see where I'm going with this. I deleted the apps from my phone that I felt like I was wasting time on, but I do still have a couple of social media apps. I could not bear to part with Pinterest. I love my little images, and of course I do still love Perfectly Imperfect, but those are both apps that I don't really scroll for very long, so it's not as big of an issue for me to have them on my phone. Anyway, I do need to give credit where credit is due. This video's premise was partially inspired by the video Be Your Own Algorithm by PageMelt. I thought that was super cool and interesting, as well as Why is Social Media Back by Jacob Burrows. The videos really got me thinking about the positive impacts the internet's had on my life, as well as like my relationship with social media in general. So go check out their videos. They're awesome. Overall, the internet is really such a great place for creativity, and digital mediums can allow us to realize our ideas in really interesting ways. YouTube, of course, allows us to share our creations with the world and gives us a place to host them for free. And then sites like NeoCities give you the space to code your own website, giving you a little more creative control. And Substack lets you share your blog posts and writings with an audience. I have friends who post fanfiction on AO3 or poetry on Tumblr. So if you've ever wanted to make something, whatever it is, this is kind of the place to do it. By sharing your art online, you might make new friends or even in-person connections. And of course, creating your own art shares your voice with others, which is way more interesting and meaningful than anything an AI could come up with. Lastly, I wanted to share this video was edited with Dehancer, which is a film emulation plugin for photo and video editing software. I recently joined their affiliate program, so I've got to try it out, and it is so cool. Y'all already know I really love photography, and so it's been really neat to re-edit some old photos in new ways, and I just love how it gives you the option to edit videos too. I haven't fully understood the color correction system on Premiere, but I feel like Dehancer is a bit more intuitive. There's more information on their website. This isn't really a super detailed ad moment, but if you're interested in a subscription ever, click the link in my description for 10% off, or use the code SCROBBLING. I'm gonna have this link in like all of my videos going forward because I get 10% of all sales made through my links. So I appreciate anyone who checks it out. Thank you guys. If you like photography or you just want better color correction for your videos, it's a super cool resource. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. This isn't my usual video setup. I want to try something new, but I fear the glare from the window I'm sitting right by is just not gonna work. But anyway, I promise I will not be sick in my next video, which is coming very, very soon. whenever I finish the like very tiny things that I'm trying to fix. But be on the lookout for a very long video about a band that we all know and mostly don't love. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're having a good day or night, whatever time it is. I just hope it's a good one. Bye y'all!